Hey guys, Tim here at JK Boots. Today we want to do a video about which boots are for me. What model do I need for my profession and what I do? So we're just going to go through, we're going to break down every model and the profession or use that we think is going to be best for it in our recommendations, because sometimes it can be hard to pick which one's the best one for me. And so we'll kind of go through every single individual boot model and the jobs that it works best for. So let's start with our classic trophy boot, the one that's tried, true, and tested, and that is our Superduty. So this is our Superduty boot slash fire inlander boot. We have two different products for the same boot just because we need a fire dedicated one. That's our fire inlander. But this is the classic wildland firefighter slash forestry slash logging boot. That's where its roots come from. That's a huge customer base for us. We serve a lot of wildland firefighters and a lot of loggers, especially up here locally in the Pacific Northwest. So if you do anything forestry, if you're a wildland firefighter, anything like that at all, anything logging or timber related, you need a Superduty or fire inlander boot. It's just going to do everything that you could possibly ask it to do in that kind of an environment. Rough out lower, smooth upper. Rough out is good for abrasion resistant, walking through the forest all day. You've got a good tall logger heel, a good comfortable arch, a nice 10-inch shaft, good ankle and heel support, good support all the way through the boot, a tough 100 lug sole, it's fire rated thread, a fire resistant sole, like everything that in that kind of a forestry environment, it is geared to do. And we've been building boots for loggers and firefighters for so many years now. And just all of the feedback that we hear, all of the testimonials, all of the crazy stories of what guys do in their boots out there in those environments just builds us so much confidence to very confidently recommend this boot time and time again over the years. So anything forestry related, this is the one for you. I wouldn't really think twice. And it's just going to do, like I said, everything that you need it to. And in terms of, there's different variations that you can get in this Superduty fire inlander model, and that's you can get a honey sole or a lower heel or a taller top. In recent years, we've seen it transcend the fire slash logging community and really make its way into a lot of different guys in different professions. We've really seen it become a general purpose, all-purpose boot. Guys love this boot. It's comfortable, you can stand in it all day, it's very supportive, and it can pretty much take anything you throw at it. So I think that's a good general covering of the Superduty boot that you pretty much can throw it in any profession, in almost any workplace, and it'll do really, really well. So moving into our next boot, the Forefront. I personally really like this boot. I have a few pairs myself. This is probably my favorite. Awesome boot, more for, I would say, the indoor work environment, and not limiting it to the indoor work environment, but kind of with those jobs in mind. So when I say that, what I envision is, maybe construction that's like the finishing touches inside. So finish work, carpentry, electricians, HVAC, plumbing, those kinds of things. Anything on a concrete floor environment, so inside a shop, welding, mechanics, fabrication, those kinds of things. And the big reason for that is because of the flexibility of the Forefront boot, the way that it bends really easily with the flexi midsole, and then the wedge sole. So those two things coupled together just makes it really awesome for that kind of environment. In general, this style is really popular, I feel like, in America, this classic 6 or 8 inch wedge sole boot. And so there's a reason for that, because it's you can throw it almost, pretty much anywhere for a lot of general labor positions. So that's why I really, really like this boot. Again, like I mentioned earlier, construction positions that are maybe more indoors, like electricians and HVAC and finish work and carpentry and flooring and the like. And I'm thinking of someone who just needs to be nimble, needs to be maybe a little bit quicker, who's just, okay, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, hop in and out of my truck, go pick up this, go do that, go drop off this. That's kind of more the position that I'm thinking of. I've definitely seen so many different types of people wear this boot. We hear tons of testimonials and very, very good things. I mean, awesome feedback. Like, I wouldn't recommend this boot for a firefighter. So that's, like the opposite position of what this boot would be designed for. And so that's just a good kind of visual in your mind of what you should be shooting for if you're looking to purchase this Forefront boot. Let's cover our OT boot. So again, this is another favorite of mine. Jumping into the OT, this one in particular is in bison, which is an awesome leather, and we have a separate video on that leather specifically. I would hear sometimes customers say, like, man, I love the Superduty, but I wish it was a little bit lighter, or I wish it was a little bit more nimble. And this is what we kind of gave birth to. And so just real quick, the biggest difference, I have a specific video breakdown on the OT, but the big thing is that flexi midsole, and then doing the unit lug sole, and then the height. I love this boot for someone who spends a little bit of their time indoors, a little bit of their time outdoors, who spends some time in the office, some time on the job site, who needs that toughness and durability but doesn't need it 24/7. It's kind of this in-between good boot that you can really pretty much take on-road and off-road, and it'll do very well in both environments. It's really a good mix, and it's a hybrid of a boot. And so the position that I would think of, or a profession I think would do really well with this, would be, I think, anything in the construction field, especially someone who's maybe a little bit more nimble on the job site. So I'm thinking like a framer, I'm thinking like probably and just having to be mobile, siding, roofing, all those kinds of things. And then the other side of that might be, I think any kind of concrete floor environment would be good as well for this one because it has the honey sole. And then anything just general purpose outdoor labor. So someone who's wants kind of a more lightweight, nimble boot, but still has those characteristics of good heel support, good arch support, good ankle support. That's kind of, could be a little bit muddy and broad, but think to yourself of what the profession you are doing. If you're not a firefighter, if you're not a logger, if you're not a forester, if you're not, pumping oil in North Dakota, right? This really, really like maybe high intensity, tough environment things, but you still need a good boot. I think the OT is a good option. Like I said, it's a good hybrid. We call it the dual sport for a reason. It can pretty much do almost anything that a Superduty or Fire Islander could, but it cuts down on that weight and it cuts down on that stiffness and gives you a little bit more of a daily use, general purpose use. Great boot. I really think you can't go wrong with this one. Let's cover more of a model that's, I'd say, more specific oriented, and that would be our climber boot. So, just right away off the bat, arborist, lineman. That's it. If you're not an arborist or a lineman, I would say the climber is not for you, and you should go with the Superduty or an OT or the other models we've mentioned. This boot was designed and built for arborists and linemen. Anyone climbing, straps, stirrups, you're literally climbing high, tall things, right? Or you're specifically on a ladder like all day. The reason for that, lineman patch, lineman shank. This was designed for those guys who are going to be on their feet, on those poles, on those stirrups all day. You need that extra support, you need that toughness. The reason that it's not going to be good for someone who's not doing that is because there's all that material in here. It's going to make it a lot more stiffer to be super nimble on your feet all day. So that's why I wouldn't recommend it. It's going to give you that support that you need. You're not going to feel things digging into the arch of your foot. We have that lineman shank in there. You're going to have that support right here. Every time you're climbing, if it's going to rub up on this area, that's the reason we put that lineman patch right there. You're not going to burn through this side of the leather. So this boot was tailored and designed for that person. This is a 10-inch top. It can go all the way up to 18 if you want. It can go all the way as low as 6 as you want. I know that climbing gear has really evolved over the years, and maybe back in the day you had to have an 18-inch boot. Today you don't necessarily have to. It's all kind of personal preference, but we've been building lineman / climber / arborist boots for a lot of years, and people are so happy. This is just testimony after testimony after testimony of customers that tell us, man, I was in my boots on the tree or on the pole for 10 hours a day, whatever, 8 hours a day, and their feet feel good and supported. It comes with that classic arch and heel support. You're not going to twist your ankle on this one. And yeah, it's done really, really, really well. It does come in a lace toe option with that, eyelet going forward, and so that patch looks a little bit different on a lace toe boot, but same idea there. So this one's tried, true, and tested. Climbers, arborists, look no further, linemen, this boot's for you. I want to talk about our harvester boot. This one also is, I feel, one that has been around for a long time, and I also really like it, and it's not the #1 most popular boot, but we're definitely seeing it grow in popularity, and I want to explain a brief history on it. This boot originally was designed, and the thought behind it, I remember, growing up, this was kind of just the thought behind this boot. This was a farmer's boot. This is for someone who's farming. And the reason is because of the sole. That 430 mini sole, it's not going to track mud and dirt. There's like that old saying, that farmers have. I've heard it a lot of times, like, you don't walk into the house with your boots because your wife will, really, she'll hurt you, because the idea was you're tracking mud and dirt. I've heard that so many times from our local farmers. And we still see a lot of, we call it the harvester for that reason. We see a lot of ranchers and a lot of farmers and a lot of guys who are like in a muddy environment. They wear this boot. And so I know that's kind of broad, but farming obviously is one of those. And if for you, you're just in a lot of mud, gravel, dirt, you're picking things up into the soles of your boots, maybe that's been an issue, harvester is a great option. Also, what we've been seeing is it's been coming out a lot more as a casual boot too. So maybe you have a pair of Super Duties, you love them, and you want something to kind of go to church on Sunday or go out with your wife on a Friday night. the Harvester is that boot for you. It's built the same way as a Superduty, same design and arch. The heel ultimately is a little bit different and the sole is a little bit different. The heel different in terms of the look, and then the sole, obviously it's a different sole. And we typically do these in 8-inch tops, although they do come in different heights. But we're seeing this come out as a lot more of a casual, all-around, comfy dress boot. And so if you're looking for something that has the comfort and awesome feel as your regular work boots, but you want to look good and look presentable, this is that boot for you. And so it's kind of a nice split between those two things. It's funny to mix dirt and mud with going out and casual, but that's kind of what the idea of this boot was. You really can't go wrong with it either. I have seen other professions use it, but typically it's a little more centered towards either farming in a muddy environment or a dress kind of casual boot. So that's the Harvester. The next one we'll cover is the Packer. Very similar to our Harvester, very similar idea. The biggest difference here is just going to be the heel. So kind of old story behind it is, this was that Packer boot for riding in a saddle. You're in the stirrups in a saddle. I mean, we see ranchers and guys who ride horses a lot wear this kind of boot. Just what I've seen is that it seems to be that there's less and less and less ranchers over the years. And so this boot has not fallen in popularity, but just not been as in high of much demand for that reason. But we still definitely make them. And so the biggest thing here is it's that heel. Same idea as the Harvester. This one comes with that 700 V-bar sole. It can also come with the 430 sole. This one's even smoother. And so yeah, it's also a great boot. You really can't go wrong. Built the same way as the Superduty, same kind of heel and arch support. There's nothing wrong with purchasing this boot, and I obviously encourage it, but it's more so about like, do I need it for its function? Do I need it for its look? What am I after here? And if you're not really sure on the function, then you probably don't need the heel and the sole, and you could go for like more of a Superduty or even an OT boot. But that's already up for you to decide kind of what you're going to use the boot for and the environment that you're in. The 300 was designed because we wanted something more lightweight and more affordable. So if you need a boot that's going to be a all-day wear, kind of casual, kind of a work boot, lightweight, more affordable, pretty much can do anything that your classic boot that you see in big box brand stores and mass-produced stuff can do and more, the 300 is for you. I love this boot. I have a couple pairs myself, and to keep it simple and keep it short, basically it will do everything that the Forefront will do. It's just a lighter duty version of that. So a good comparison that I've always kind of brought up is like, imagine an F-150 and like an F-350, right? The Forefront, it's that F-350. It's tough, it's gonna pull, it's gonna last long, real deal. It's built tough. The 300, it's not that it's a worse or lower quality, it's just a lighter weight, it's a lighter duty. An F-150 is not gonna pull as much weight as an F-350. And so that's, I think, a good analogy to just kind of keep in your mind, what do I need? I personally don't need an F-350. The 150 works for me, so I wear 300s. I'm in the shop environment all day, I'm on a concrete floor, super comfortable. I'm not digging ditches, I'm not pouring concrete, I'm not doing anything super extreme like that, and so I don't need the level of toughness of the Forefront. So if you're thinking that I'm half-time office, half-time outdoors, or full-time office, or full-time indoors, and you want something a little more lightweight, 300 is a great option for you. Guys, ultimately, the quality of the material and the quality of the build of the boots is so good and so high that it's really hard to make a mistake in choosing the one for you. At this point, when you're looking at the different models, it's more so about just your personal preference and the use that you're going to apply your boots to the most. And I know for some of you that's really hard to say because maybe you do so many different things, and it's challenging to just pick one, and I get that. That's why I want to encourage you. I don't think you can make a mistake in picking a boot for you. Ultimately, they're just so good, and when you have thick material, quality material, a good build, it's done the right way, like I said, the margin for error is so small here. So I don't want to worry anybody or confuse anybody. I really want to just encourage you, have a lot of peace in your decision, and just make the best educated decision that you can for yourself at the position that you're in now, maybe the environment that you're in. And even if you change jobs, you don't need to worry about, oh my goodness, do I need to now have a different model because this model won't work for me? That's not the case. I really think that pretty much almost any boot could be overlapped and changed out and do different things, except maybe for the extremes. Like the example that I brought, that I wouldn't recommend a firefighter to wear the Forefront, right? And I wouldn't recommend someone who's on the concrete floor all day who needs that cushion to go get a Packer boot. It's more so just the extremes that you could avoid, but ultimately almost all of them are interchangeable. So again, don't be worried. Pick what's best for you right now in the season that you're in. You can't make a mistake. I appreciate you guys watching our videos. Comment below what else you'd like to see. Go to our website, ask us questions on the models, go look at the different videos we have. Just do as much research as you'd like. We offer as much material and resources as we can. We really appreciate you watching. Thanks guys, have a good day.